Hi, Marco from Inspector Detector. We're now going to look at an electrical hot water tank. You got your gas tank as well. This one particular is an electrical one, but it's very similar to the gas. The only difference is you got to look at the flue of the gas. Make sure that the top of it is connected, and make sure if it's a direct vent that it goes out to the wall. Make sure on the data plate you read that it is a direct gas hot water tank, because I have found where they take a flue vented tank and they just glue the top for direct. That is not what the unit is designed for, so look at that. That's something you will find. Also, when the gas comes out, make sure you got a drip leg and a regulator. Those weren't required when the houses were built a while ago, but today a regulator is needed to regulate the gas. So when you get the tank, I always take a picture of the tank. You today require, since 2010, you need an expansion tank on the top over here. They do cover them if they're in a garage. It's not really required. One thing you got to do, always look on top over here that there's no rust stains, especially where it's joined. Over here I can't see because it's got insulation, write-up a limitation. Water piping has been covered with insulation, unable to identify the piping. The reason being, this should not be PVC or PEX. Due to the fact if it gets hot, that clamp could be not connected correctly and it could pop out. So they normally should have a copper or a flexible steel hose for the hot and the cold. It's not always as important for the cold, definitely for the hot, but I have a little picture that I got that I always put in my report. It helps if you put an example picture. So if this was PVC and I could see it, I'd take a picture of it, and then in my report I put a picture of an example of one with copper piping or something, so that the client understands it better, because they don't always understand the terminology about what we're trying to explain. Always look around the covers here, make sure there's no rust around them. Look around the base of the tank, look at the back of the tank. Take a picture of the sides of the tank, the top of the tank, the distance from the tank, because so often there might be a leak after you leave and you can say, look, here's a picture, it wasn't there. Very important, your expansion relief valve, the line has to come past the unit. It must go past the base, unless it's on the floor and you have a pan. If the unit is on the interior of the home, you require a pan. However, sometimes if it's in a closet, they're not able to put an extension for the pan to go to the exterior of the home. Then I will write up a water detector is required, because you don't want it leaking, going under the floors or in a crawl space like this home and creating damage. Water detectors do help. Always write up the water main shut off, so people know where it is. The electrical shut off, you will notice there's one over here, must always be near the hot water heater if the electrical panel is not here. So in other words, if I visually can see the electrical panel, you do not need the disconnect. But this electrical panel is in the other garage, therefore you need electrical disconnect. The reason being, I don't want to open this unit as a plumber working. Somebody comes into the garage, sees that the breaker's off and turns the breaker on, and I get electrocuted. So today, this is required. You will often see it in old homes that this is not present. If this unit is a gas unit, or this unit would be over here, you need a baluster in front of it, that if a vehicle comes into the garage and they don't stop, that it's protected from driving in. You do have some people put a concrete base at the bottom. That's not significant. It needs a steel pipe filled with concrete sunning that will stop a vehicle if it comes towards it.